Thank you very much, Samina. It's great to be on a panel moderated by you after many years. I'd also like to thank the organizers for arranging a panel on the situation in Afghanistan. It's not obvious that at the Asma Jahangir Conference that should be the case, but the interest is very clear from the numbers who've come, and it was certainly good judgment, I think, by the organizers. A pleasure to be here. Maybe I will start with the second part of the question first, if you don't mind. When I was appointed I started in May 22, and I went on three visits to Afghanistan, and indeed you're right, I am familiar with the country. I started going and living in Afghanistan from 2003. And at the beginning, the Taliban were quite engaged with me, willing to meet me, did not put restrictions on where I should travel, and I was able to go to Kandahar, to Mazar-e-Sharif, to Panjshir, to Bamiyan, to travel around the country, for example. So they were interested in engaging, but I was always a bit conscious that it was a kind of honeymoon period. They were testing me out to see what they may be able to get, because they had an agenda in that they did not completely dismiss human rights, so that was a good thing, but they wanted themselves to be seen as the victims of human rights, not as the perpetrators of human rights violations. And secondly, they were keen to point out double standards, that if they were going to be held accountable, they expected others to be held accountable too. In fact, it was rather not even that far. It was others should be held accountable, not us, because we were fighting a jihad. Everything we did was justified. And they went close to saying that the fact that we succeeded against all the odds, against the most powerful military in the world, tells us that we are blessed, that we were, in fact, we could not have won this war, and they see themselves as victorious, unless they were on the right side of Allah. So that was the kind of positioning. So some opening, but very much on their terms. And then that changed. I started making reports, and I write quite a lot of reports. On my 12th report now. I've tabled 11 in the Human Rights Council and the General Assembly. And when they started seeing my reports and public statements, and also seeing that the civil society and the resilience, particularly of women in civil society, was more or less agreeing with what I was reporting, that created a problem. And particularly around the rights of women and girls, also around minorities. These were the two issues that they found, they even told me, they found sensitive. And they even said, they gave a warning to me, kind of, please lay off those issues. And of course, I can't do that. And then they got increasingly less engaged with me, and finally said that they wouldn't issue me a visa. So that's the kind of history of the trajectory. I'm still very hopeful, and I still engage with them. And every time I'm going to research a subject, I tell them, I send questions to them. I share draft reports for their comments. Member states present may be interested to know that I share my draft reports with the Taliban with the de facto authorities before I share them with you. So I'm still treating them seriously and with respect. On the second question, I think most people here will know generally the trajectory of human rights over the last 4.5 years now, and it's great that Fawzia has covered some of the history, in particular, history of women's rights in Afghanistan, and especially the process. I'm not sure we can call it a peace process, but the political process that led to the takeover by the Taliban. Some people say collapse of the republic. I don't like to say that; it's a bit negative. But the takeover by the Taliban. So I think on that we have seen a step-by-step, an incremental tightening of the grip. And the tightening of the grip, I think a good litmus test is where human rights have been stepped back. They were not stepped back immediately. An example would be that, because I'll use this example because it's well known, that education for girls was suspended quite soon after they took over, but only suspended. And they said it's only for a short period until we can make the conditions safe, suitable and safe for girls to come back to school above 6th grade. It's only suspended to 6th grade. And then nothing happened, except that a little bit of time later, about a year later, universities closed. And then a year after that, they had an exception that universities closed, but women could still study medicine. Now then that closed. So it was step by step. And a bit after that, we've seen, and I'll just mention two particular, the Taliban call them laws, but one was the law on the propagation of virtue and the prevention of vice in August 2024, which was definitely really clamped down, especially on women and girls' rights. And then this year, just this month actually, or in January, I think it was January 4th, the introduction of a new code on the regulation on the procedure of the courts was introduced, which also is causing a lot of concerns, not only for women and girls, but also for other groups, including, well, everyone, but including ethnic and religious and other minorities particularly. So it's been incremental tightening of the grip. When it comes to accountability, maybe I'll do that in the second question. So I would like to talk a little bit about accountability, but I realized I've talked for a while, so back to you, Samina.